Hi guys, it's Sam from Creatively Sam's, and I've made a new angel tree topper. This year for Christmas I have decided to do metallics, and I honestly did not have a gold or metallic angel, so I decided to make one. And it's really not that hard to do. Once you know the basics, you can do it in any fabric you want, and you can make it very uniquely yours. If you want to see how I did this, stay tuned. It's coming up next. Okay, what you need is an angel head and hands. I've had this for a while. It's made by Doris. I believe you can still get them online, and closer to Christmas is when they usually come out in the stores. I know right now they don't have them at Joann's or at Michael's, but I know that they have either the porcelain ones or the vinyl ones online. And you can see it has the head and the hands. You will need a chenille stem. You'll need a cone. That one is clear plastic. You can get them in cardboard, styrofoam, whatever you want. I'm doing this all in whites and golds, so I am going to use the clear. And I've got a very tall one. This one is just about 12 inches high. The one that I usually use for angels is cardboard one. And this one's 11 inches. So there's not much difference. Okay, you need angel wings. These are readily available in the doll section. I decided that I wanted a brunette angel. So I'm going to paint her hair using brown paint. And then I have curly hair, which I'm going to end up gluing on there. But that's just my personal preference. If you don't want to go to those extremes, just leave her as she is. She's gorgeous. You need fabric. You have to have a rectangle that is 1.5 to 2 times the circumference of the bottom of the cone. So this is 16. So you need roughly 24 to 30 inches wide. And you'll need scissors to cut it out. You need a hot glue gun, and anything else that you decide to do for embellishments is up to you. And there are so many ways to make these angels your own. I have been making these for at least 20 years, and they're easy to make. They're a little time consuming, but once your imagination gets going, you have a ball with this. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is take her out of the package, and I'm going to paint her hair. And I'll be back when I'm done. Okay, I've got the hair painted, and since I'm going to be using the curly hair on top, I wasn't overly worried about getting everything solid. This is just so that if some of the scalp shows through, it'll be brown. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is fold the chenille stem in half. And I'm just judging it, and I think that that's going to be pretty good. So I'm just going to bring up the end just a little bit to make it a little bit thicker and give it something to hold on to, because this is going to be glued onto here. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue in there. And repeat on the other one. And you don't need much. Okay, now that they're nice and cool, and I know that they're going to stay on there, I'm going to put some glue inside here. And after I get this glued in place, then it'll get glued on top of the cone. Now I am just going to put a whole bunch of glue all over the end of the chenille stem. And lay it right inside and let it dry. And I'm making sure that they can come out the side for the shoulders. And I'm going to put a little bit more glue in there. I'm going to make sure it stays. And I'll put a little bit more glue in here on both sides of the opening. And just press that right down onto the top of the cone. And I'm just going to let that cool down. But basically, there's the base of the angel. Okay, the base of the angel is about 16.5 inches around. And from her shoulders to the bottom is 10.5. So I cut this fabric 31 inches. This is doubled here. And I've got about 12.5 inches because I need a little extra for folding over the seams. Now the arms, the sleeves, I just cut a couple of rectangles. And I made sure that it was large enough so that when I gather it, it'll be nice and fluffy, and gave myself more than enough length. But these, and if I need to cut some off, I can cut them off. But these rectangles are, two of them at 6.5 inches long by 4.5 inches wide. Okay, now with the hot glue gun, I think I'm going to add a little bit of lace to the bottom. And this is not necessary, This is just what I want to do.
The first thing I'm going to do is glue the side seam together, right sides together. And I've decided on this brocade I'm going to have the lighter, whiter side as the outside. So I'm just going to run a bead of glue straight down here and put that over top, and once it dries we'll move on to the next thing. And I'm going to do the same thing with the sleeves. I'm going to hem this up all the way around, and that way it gives it a nice finished edge. And I'm going to be gluing that through. Okay, I've got the hem all glued up, and now what I'm going to do is glue on the lace, and I'm going to start here at the back seam, and I'm going to make sure it just peeks out. And I'm going to just glue all the way around, and we'll be back once it's attached. Okay, I folded the top over, and it goes from her shoulder to the base of the comb. I have upholstery thread and a large-eyed needle, and I'm just going to do a running stitch, which is in and out all the way around at the very top of this. And once it's done, then I'm going to turn this right side out, and this will go right on the little angel. Okay, I've got the running stitch all the way around the top of the skirt, and I'm going to put it on the little angel. This thread, and I'm going to tighten the skirt up and try to get these ruffles as even as I can, and keep this seam in the back. And I'll be back once I have this tightened up, and then I'm just going to put a bead of glue around here and in the front and glue the skirt on. Okay, I've got it pretty well gathered, so I'm just going to put a small line of glue at the bottom of her bust. And lay the gathers right into that glue. And I'm just going to tighten this up in the back. And put a little line of glue back here. Put a little knot back here now that the glue is holding the skirt in place. And give it just a little more glue on that knot to make sure it stays in place. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to put this sleeve up around the hand and gather it up and wrap it with some of the upholstery thread. And I'm going to get this nice and tight. And I'll put a little bit of glue on that knot just to make sure that it stays in place. And I'm going to turn this right side after I give this a little hem. And by wrapping that around her wrist, it gives it a nice sleeve finish. And it's nice and poofy and looks very feminine. This doesn't even need a running stitch. I'm just going to glue this right to her shoulder. See the shoulder? I'm just going to glue it right there in place. Now we're going to use some ribbon to finish this off. But you can see how by wrapping that around her wrist, it gives it a nice sleeve edge and it's nice and fluffy. And you don't need much glue here just to get it to stay where you want it. Because like I said, we're going to be putting some ribbon over top of this to give it a nice finished look. And boy, I hope I'm not going out of frame for this. If I am, I'm sorry. It's really hard to do this kind of detail work and look in the viewfinder at the same time. Okay, there's one sleeve done. And by bending the chenille stem, I've given her an elbow. And you can twist it so that the hand goes any way you want. So I'm going to finish this one and I'll be back. Okay, I'm going to take some of this gold ribbon that I have, and I'm just going to glue it right over the top of the sleeve just to give it a more finished look. It's not really necessary, it's just something that I want to do. Like I said, it's not really necessary to do this. I just like the way that it gives it just a little bit more of a finished look. And I'm going to make a bow just by giving this a little bit of a loop. And I'm going to put just glue the center of this right there in the center. Add another drop of glue here. And this will cover up the front. Okay, I was going to give her a waist, but I don't think she needs one. If yours you decide to give a waist to, you just tie the ribbon around it and give it a bow in the back. Now for the hair. What I'm going to use is some tacky glue. Okay, I've got the clear gel tacky glue on hand, so that's what I'm going to use. And I'm just going to put some around the crown and a little bit down the sides. This stuff does have a tendency to run, so I don't want it to go too far down the sides. If I need to add more after I get the hair on, I can always do that. But it's actually kind of hard to get it off. Okay. Now the hair. And you can get this in any of the doll sections. This is just called curly hair, and it's two-toned. But you can use any color you want, or you don't have to do this. This is up to you. I mean, she looks fine the way she is. But in order to use this, I'm just kind of stretching it out. And I'm going to wrap it around my hand. Loosely. And basically I'm doing this just to get a little control over it. And I'll make a few of these. And I'm going to hold this on here for a little bit until it dries, or at least until it holds it into place, and then I'll be adding a little more on the sides and more in the back. And I'll be back. Okay, our hair's all done. And now for a halo. You can either use something like a string of pearls. You can actually thread pearls onto wire. I'm going to use roses just because my patron saint is Saint Teresa, and always the sign of the roses. And I have these very miniature roses. And I'm just going to start with one in the very center in the front. I'm just adding the smallest amount of hot glue, mainly because I do not want to get burnt. And since I put hair on here, I don't have to worry about having these cut down real low, because these are just going to tuck in her hair. And I'll be back after I get done putting all the roses on her head for her halo. Okay, I got all the roses all over the top of her hair. And now I'm going to take some of the ribbon that I have, and this is going to go across her hands. And I'm going to cut a couple pieces of this, and I think maybe some pearls. Okay, I have her hands placed towards the front, and I've got 2 strands of the ribbon and a strand of the pearls. And the first thing I'm going to do is put a little bit of glue right in the center. So that all 3 stay together. Okay, I'm trying to keep the pearls towards the front so that you can see them a little better. And I'm going to scrunch it up and put a little bit of glue on the palm of her hand and place that ribbon right in there. And I've got some white holographic roses, and I'm just going to put them right over top of the glue. And put one in each hand to cover where the glue is. And the only thing that's left is, if I wanted to add more roses to the ribbon, I could. But the only thing that's left are the angel wings. And I'm just going to hold that in place till it cools down. And I'm going to repeat with the other one. I'm trying to keep these up high enough so that they'll show very nicely in the front. And I am putting quite a bit of glue on there. I don't know if you can see it, because it not only has to stick to each other, but it has to stick to the fabric as well. Okay, I decided to lay her down on her wings until they dry. It's a whole lot easier than holding them. Okay, her wings are dry in place. And I added a stone to the center of the bow in the front, just to give it a little personality. But she's done. She's ready for the top of the tree. And if you like what you saw, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and happy creating, everyone.